Hi everyone, so happy you're here. I taught myself manual RAG, so no LangChain. You take manuals right and you put them in the chat feature. So let's go. Let me show you what I built in case you guys want to learn. I actually did this in Node, right? Because it's a lot more of a commonly used language. And Python, I just didn't get approval for it for where I was building this feature. So I have my documents here, right? I have a back end and a front end in React. We'll close the front end. So I have my server to start the server. And first things first, we just store everything and use the recursive chunker function that I adapted from ChromaDB, right? So let's go ahead and test it out and let's ask some questions, right? So let me see, let's make this a little bit bigger. How do I create a new work order? So again, this is like a manual document, right? It's not exactly your usual Alice in Wonderland document that might be a lot simpler to chunk, right? Because it's a story, it follows a format. This is an actual manual, so it would be really useful to use for any application using Node or anything, and you can also adapt it to Python. So there we go, we got our steps for that. How do I close a work order? Or let's see, how do I close a work order, right? Let's ask. And there we go. We get the answer, right? And also, I included an FAQ, which might be useful for your guys' manuals as well if you're going to do it that way. So let's say let's try this one. So not only does it do a keyword search, right? Like back in the day, how it did that, it actually does semantics. So this one will actually return the correct result. But if I change the wording, right, it's still going to retrieve something great. So let's say, how do I create a new asset? So I'm changing the wording. Semantics is still the same, right? Create a new asset and add it to a work order. And there we go. It comes back, right? So that's how it works so far. I'm still learning. I'm still um, learning how to make it perfect. But right now, in the time we're in, getting something out quick, right, is going to be really useful because AI is so new, right? So I'm pretty happy with this. Such a blessing to get this done. Glory to God with everything that goes well, right? So I also wanted to show you right here how I was learning this. There's a YouTube video I'm gonna link in the description. He's amazing. His videos are so thorough. Um, I might, just kind of simplify it a little bit how it works, but basically, great pictures as well. How it works is you're chunking your document right into certain chunks based on your function that you choose, and each chunk is going to actually correlate with a vector. Now, it's not like 3D vectors we did back in Calc 3. It's similar, but this time it's actually 1,536 dimensions. And the reason it's so many is because we need to capture all the different semantic meanings, right? Like, for instance, different words mean different things. Like, I like coding, right? Versus the other version of like, we could go, like, instead of saying as, you could also say like, right? It's great to go outside, right? So things like that, that's why you need so many dimensions. And all you're really doing is you're taking the user's search query, whatever question they ask, and you're using the vectors we learned in math, right, to calculate the dot product or the cosine similarity to measure your actual distance. Because how it works, I'll show you what he has here. Let's go to it. Beautiful diagram he did. I think it's up higher. Um, okay, I'll go to it. So here's how he did it, right? So this is how the vectors get stored based on the dimensions. Similar words are grouped together, similar phrases are grouped together, and it's all based on that, right? Nurses and doctors are professions, right? They're going to be close together. And we see a little overlap here with fish and food, right? Because fish is also a food, but it's also an animal. So things like that with how the vectors work, it's really beautiful and it's really fun. I'm also working on an image classifier to classify types of images based on user input and user comment in the image and to bring back the asset type. But really great stuff. There's a ChromaDB actually stores it a lot better, versus just using JSON. It's a lot faster with ChromaDB. And the nice thing is that you don't have to deal with, the dependencies of LangChain, which could really screw things up. So I'll just go through a little bit of this code. I'm going to be posting it to GitHub, but I really want to link a lot of where I got the inspo for the code as well. Because I've been, playing with this for a while, just trying to get it to work. First started off with LangChain and that wasn't exactly, good because of the dependencies and all that, and it was in Python. So, you know, you just kind of do a lot of trial and error, right, with coding. So, yeah, pretty fun though. Anyway, so basically, how you're going to organize your back end, you're going to have your documents, right? This is the Chroma. Oh, really quick before I get into that, how I was able to do this in Node is because I'm running a server in Python. So right here is my server. I'm actually running a server, even though there's no code in Python. That way ChromaDB can like have that server hosted, right? So I can still get the features if that makes sense. But yeah, so I have an embedder to create those embeddings using OpenAI API, which is the most accurate. You could also use Olama or sentence transformers, but it's a much lower accuracy, especially for production, right? Okay, and then there's the recursive function of way I chunked it. I used this from ChromaDB based on the YouTuber I found online to just convert it to Node. But you could also do this in different ways. The recursive chunk is nice because it's good for lightweight applications, and I just wanted something quick to get started. But I highly encourage anyone wanting to learn RAG to go to his videos. He doesn't even have that many followers right now, but I predict he's going to probably blow up. Go to his videos and or other videos and study the different chunking techniques because that makes a really big difference in the output that you're going to get based on your files. So yeah, I just use recursion. And then from here, I can go to store. So then we're just going to store it in the database. Okay. And each time we store it, if we change the documents or anything, I have it arranged so that it'll adapt, right? And then you just query it, or in my case, I created the endpoint, and I have that in server.js, and then I'm just calling it from the front end. So it's pretty simple, it's pretty fun. I love math. I've taught math before, and I just love math. I have a master's degree with honors, so I'm a huge math nerd. So learning about all of this like chunking, and we're getting vectors again, and I did some data science. Anyway, and there's another video as well that I'm gonna try and link below that way you can really test the effectiveness, right, of your model. So if I go to the React to test it, you don't have to do it like sequentially. You can actually test the results in Jupyter Notebook. And it's going to measure the effectiveness. I took a little bit of notes, okay? So this was just how I was going to get started with everything. So basically, how it goes, precision is going to decrease when chunk size increases, meaning you might not get as precise, as close to the answer you want if there's a bigger chunk size, like 800, right? But when chunk size increases, recall increases, meaning that when you ask the model, right, a question, right? If the chunk size is large, it's always going to return some kind of answer. There's a higher chance of that. You're going to get a recall. You're going to get some kind of result, right? So that's how it goes. And then also, you just measure the distances. The OpenAI API vectors, when you do the embeddings with that API, they're already normalized. So cosine similarity and the dot product are going to be the same. But either way, ChromaDB just does cosine similarity, so that should be fine. Yeah, so just learning more about the precision versus recall, right? And it's a trade-off. So also if you do I believe if you decrease the chunk size, right? You decrease this chunk size, you're going to get higher precision, okay? So you're going to get more of a precise result, but the recall is going to decrease. So that might not always be what you want. But yeah, I really recommend just starting with a recursive function, a recursive chunker, because that was what I found was best for me, like just for something lightweight. But I'm gonna show this to the boss I'm working for right now and have him review it, and just see if he likes it or what he wants to do. And first, I'm gonna show it to one of my coworkers. But yeah, enjoy. I hope this helps someone and keep learning and keep engineering during the AI age.